Good evening, everyone. I am Aditi, a member of LSeT and also your host for today's webinar. So, talking about LSeT, we are a specialized training institute that focuses on animal care and management. Currently, LSeT offers two programs, that is Diploma in Animal Care and Management, and second is the Animal Care Bootcamp, whose next batch is in October. For further details, you can contact on the numbers given below. So, the topic for today's webinar is husbandry of finches, and we are incredibly honored to have Mr. Chris Ventouris. So, Sir is a dedicated aviculturist who began his journey in 2009 with finches. Over the years, he has worked with a wide range and hard to breed finch species. He developed his expertise at Ordney Farm, the largest bird breeding facility in Athens. He has a deep understanding of species, specific care, animal breeding techniques. Today, he runs his own advanced breeding rooms with 26 finches species, aiming to support rare bird conservation and share his lifelong passion with others. So, without any further ado, I would like to hand over the virtual stage to Sir to enlighten us with his knowledge. Over to you, sir.
Hello, everybody. Hello, thanks, Aditi. I want to thank the LSeT Life Science Education Trust for the hospitality. My name is Chris Ventouris. I'm from Greece, and I'm gonna talk you about how to breed the small finches we all know. In the presentation, husbandry of finches. Now, the small birds we call finches, it's mainly the estrils. They are the most underestimated in the aviculture world. But in fact, they can give you the joy of a parrot and in the same time, the excitement of having birds of paradise. They are quite challenging. Some species can be easy to breed, some others are not so easy. So, in this presentation, I'm gonna give you my view on how I succeed breeding some of most difficult species that I kept all these years where I'm keeping birds. And I hope that we can have a conversation if someone wants to ask something, so I can help you breed the rarest of the finches. Now, first of all, this was my first bird room, which I have constructed back in 2009. I started using the aviary idea and put birds, in big aviaries. These aviaries measuring 1 + 1 meter and 2 meters high. And I was, young enough, so I thought I can put a lot of pairs together and I can make more birds. But in fact, I think that a lot of us know the thing's not working like this. So, as I grew up, I eventually found myself in Athens, Greece, where a friend of mine had a company, Orny Farm, where he has the passion and the dream to make a stable population of captive breed estrils, so we don't run out of specimens and we don't have to cut from the wild. Here are some photos of his facility and his breeding room, where we kept most of the waxbills. In Europe, we try to have the birds in cages. In some other places, aviculturists, Australia, for example, US, South Africa, they have big aviaries. In Europe, we have the culture of keeping the birds in cages inside because we have not good temperatures and not big rooms. This is an idea of how the main breeding rooms were looked like. There are, okay. So now, I don't know if you saw before, this was my first breeding room, wooden cage back in 2009. I told you about the measures, and I try to keep as many pairs as possible inside this cage. And these were not working, of course. And this is the place in Athens where I was working in Ornith Farm, and we tried to make this conservation about all estrelled finches, as many species as we can keep, and other softbills also. I have told that in Europe mainly we keep the birds inside because of the environmental conditions and also because we don't have some big space, like in Aussie. So we keep the birds in cages. Most of the breeding took place in small cages about 60 centimeters, 0.40, 0.40. And we had this big breeding room separated in 8 smaller rooms where we can isolate the bird populations depending on where they come from, Africa, Australia, or Asia, depend on what they're eating and things like that. So we can control better the temperature and the light of the room. Here you can see how long the rooms were and the arrangement of the cages. Now, when we were start keeping birds, the most available birds were wild-caught birds. So we tried always to give as much privacy as possible. So even in small breeding cages like that, I used to cover them with plants so the birds get privacy and feel more natural as it can be. And in that way, they start breeding easier. This is my main and what I'm using now breeding room, where I have constructed bigger cages, which measure 1.1 meter tall. So it's like a big cubes. And in these cages, I'm using only one pair of waxbills or finches, not more, so I can have better success with them. Further from cages, there are outside breeding rooms where the environment conditions are good, so I can keep all these estrelled finches outside. Because even if I'm in south of Europe, Greece, the temperatures fall pretty low in the winter, so you can't keep these birds outside of a controlled environment. And this is an idea of how the outside breeding rooms look from the inside, where I keep putting the food and the water and control if the birds are nesting and things like that. As I told you, privacy is the best you can do. If you keep these birds just to be in a big cage, empty cage, just to be there and watch them, drink your coffee and enjoy them, it's not 100% sure that they will breed. It's not the point to see the birds. The point is that the birds feel safe so they can start and get into a breeding condition so they feel safe and they breed their own youngsters. Now, when we come to breeding, we have to see 3 different factors. The right conditions we have to keep an eye. It's the air of the environment of the breeding place, wherever, the temperature and the light. Each bird have different conditions that they need to breed, but all of these estrelled finches are similar. So let's take a look on the air condition. I mean the condition of the air. This is an sorry. Yep. This is a ventilation system which keeps the temperature inside the breeding room stable, so it goes out the hot, dirty air and gets out fresh air and keeps warming it, so I don't lose temperature from my breeding room. There are other solutions like cheap, ventilation systems that use like everywhere, like in our bathrooms or everything. So I can keep out from the breeding room all the bad air. And all of these are controlled via Wi-Fi with thermostats and air quality sensors. So I don't have to be in the breeding room. The birds all the time have fresh air and I don't have to be there. Another thing you can use, there are some new machines. I don't know, maybe a lot of you knows, there are air cleaners which have filters inside and takes the air inside and put out fresh air. I'm also using, filters like that, but always the better is to change the air inside the breeding room. Also, air conditioners, so I can keep them cool during summertime. Because another fact we can't control when breeding birds is the too hot temperatures. The best way with the finches is to keep them and breed them during winter time because the hot temperatures, it's better to control than, the cold temperatures are easier to control than the hot temperatures. So when you have to choose when it's the best time to breed your birds, in my case, the best time it's during October or November until the end of um, or the end of spring. Sorry. So when the summer comes and the temperatures rise above 40 degrees Celsius, it's useless to use the air conditioning to make a safe environment so the birds can breed. There is air conditioning only to keep them a little bit cooler. Windows, so fresh air can get inside. That's a pellet heater, so I can heat them during the winter. And here is a photo during the nighttime. There are lights, several lights turned on, and these lights slowly turn off so the birds don't get disturbed from the nest and go out from their nests and have accidents with egg or leave the eggs cold. Now, this is about the breeding rooms, the housing of finches. There are 3 rules, in my point of view, that you have to take care when you come across the estrils so you can keep your birds healthy and you start to breeding. The first, it's that you have the time to take care of the birds. The second, it's that you have the place to take care of these birds. And the third, it's to take care of their dietary needs. Most of the estril finches, except some 4 or 5 species, are seed eaters. And their diet consists mainly on millets and dry seeds. I make my own mixture of different seeds. I use here the percentage of each seed. It's canary seed, 30%, white millet, 20%, grass seeds, different grass seeds. I'm not taking some special one. 20%, 10% yellow millet, Japanese millet 10%, and 10% red panicum. All these mixed together and I get this result. When you take seeds for your birds, they have to be, as fresh as possible, but not only in the way that they have been harvested not so long before, but also in the way that they have been stored, so they don't have a lot of dust and bacteria and things like that on them. And here is a photo of how I use my tray so I can feed all my finches in the breeding room. Now, this was a general about the seed mix I'm making for my birds. A second factor we have to look about is the watering. Our birds mostly live in environments with not so much water. there is a rumor that the birds need all day clean water. Uh, or maybe a lot of people told me, you have to put, fresh water in the way that it's cooler and things like that. From my experience all this year, the birds need clean water in the way that the water don't get dirty from their own feces and their own bacteria. Here I'm having a photo of the automatic water drinkers I'm using. It's with a big water supply, and I'm using these pipettes that are all metal. And in each cage, I'm using two pipettes. So the birds, if they put any kind of seeds inside of one, and there is, I don't know, a block on the outside of the water, so the birds can drink from the other. This photo is when I start using it, so you can see that I also use drinkers. The automatic system is the best, not only because it saves you time from changing all these water drinkers, but it's the best because the water supply, it's always clean in the way of diseases, because it's not problem if you have, a little bit of algae or something like that. This can cause problem if it is inside the water tank for a long time. You have to take care and to see that the birds have water supply that it gets no dirty from their own feces. Now, my egg food. Okay, all the above, the seeds, the water, it's essential so the birds can live quite good and be healthy, and you have them in the cage, all okay. When it's time for breeding, it comes the egg food. There are a lot of recipes about egg food, a lot of different brands. I'm using different brands all the time, but in general, this is my recipe for egg food. I'm using 2 hard-boiled eggs, 2 parts of any commercial egg food, but I need with protein levels above 20%. A third part of commercial egg food, I don't care what protein levels have. I put it just to add more levels of egg food. Different vitamins, boiled seeds, not germinated seeds, only boiled seeds, and some frozen pinkies and buffaloes. Sorry. Okay, this is my egg food. Now, when we try to breed the birds, it's essential to understand, to get the feeling what the birds needs. So, a lot of people I have seen use, a big bowl of for food, and they put a lot of egg food inside in the morning, for example, and the birds go there and eat it, and they say, "Oh, I gave egg food, so they will start breeding." Yeah, a lot of species will start breeding, but you have to see where you want to go. What I mean now, if you want the birds to start breeding and you put so big quantity of egg food, you will have problems in the way that a lot of males will start fight with the females, want to breed again and again, maybe kill the females. A lot of birds will start gain weight because what I saw you here in this recipe, it's not something like sugar-free product. Okay, it's something that it's bad if you got too many. So my feeling is, and what I'm doing, to have the right schedule. I'm using 1 teaspoon of egg food every morning, 6 o'clock, when I start breeding with these with estelid birds. I'm using it until I see the first egg of a pair. When I see that the birds are laid eggs, I stop the egg food. No egg food, not at all, not in the morning, not in the night, nothing. Now, I keep a record in each nest And when the first chick is ready to hatch, I start giving egg food. 1 teaspoon every morning, 6 o'clock. 1 teaspoon every 4 hours from 6 o'clock in the morning. So what I'm giving now, I'm providing food for the pair to feed their youngsters. So the birds, what they eat from the egg food, go and feed it to the youngsters. They don't get it for their own. So in this way, I avoid problems like the birds want to breed more and more, killing their youngsters or break their eggs or things like that. In conclusion, when you have to use the egg food, it's not only the recipe of the egg food that you are using, it's how you use the egg food. Small amounts, not so rich in, how can I say, animal proteins, but small amounts in frequent times. This is the key, and this is the only way that I tried and managed to breed estrils on their own without foster parents. Before continue further, I want to say you something about the seeds and the egg food in particular. Uh, the title of the webinar is Turn Your Hobby into Science. And science, it's everywhere. So I don't have the time, I didn't have the time to prepare it in this presentation, but I have to say it. This was my first year in which I'm using a different product. Not an egg food clearly, but it's a product which comes to save you time and to save your birds from eating seeds and all the bad things that the seeds have inside. I'm talking about the lure products, which you put in your birds and you stop feeding seeds, egg food, and things like that. Because I don't have it ready in this presentation, if you have any questions and you want to present you these products, in the end of the presentation, you can chat me or we can discuss it further. Nesting materials. Okay, here it's funny. You can use whatever you want. It's always nice to see, the birds. You put something different, like feathers, white feathers, especially, or hay, or the coconut fiber. And the birds want to breed and go there like mad and take the nesting materials. What I want to say you here is that one of the best nesting materials that you can use, the best in the way that it's good for the health of the birds, it's the hay. Because it's the only material that I have seen, there are no mites in it. I use it in my Bengalese nest. I put, a layer of hay down on the nest, and then I let the Bengalese build their own and finish their nest. Some extras. This is live mealworms. I don't use live food for the finches. I think that the live food can cause only problems. It's good for, for their attitude, go there and eat it a little bit. Yeah, okay, but until that. If you can get frozen, it's better because you don't have problem with bacteria and all these diseases. Here, it's a recipe I have made on my own. It's a bird cake, as I call it. Yeah. If there are people that following my page, I have the recipe online for it. It's not something special. It's quite easy. I put, eggs with their egg cells, and all this flour from brown flour and seeds and things like that. And I bake it in the oven for 20 minutes. Then I cut it in small pieces and I put it in the freezer so I can keep it for a long time. I use this cake when I have youngsters and I put it, in a cage with a lot of young birdies. They go there and pick what they want. Um, it gives them joy and a lot of essentials and minerals and things like that. Okay, some millet sprays, Pagima green, Fonio paddy also, and greens. Uh, these things, it's good to use, and small camellia seeds, and I am using it for my birds, but not in daily basis. I'm using it as a treat mostly in the resting period. And when it comes to breeding period, I'm making a mix of these small seeds, and I use it, for example, once a week or twice a week, not in my schedule, but I use it just to give them something new. And these are egg cells and some minerals. Uh, I'm not using it on their own. I'm baking it in my cake so the birds can eat it from the cake. I try to make my life simple because when you come to breed a lot of and a big number of birds, you will see that you have to make, your life easy in the way that you don't need to spend hours of putting this and that and things, different things. So with one cake, I put the small seeds inside, the egg cells, the minerals, and I give it to the birds, and I'm done. And of course, fresh green seeds. I tried a lot of times, and because my studies are on agriculture, I have sorry, I have planted a lot of them and different species, and not in quite good. How can I say, development of the seeds, but it's always good to provide greens. So I'm harvesting and I keep them in the refrigerator and I give them throughout the year, especially when I have to prepare the birds for the breeding season. Not so much during the breeding season, only for the preparation for the breeding. Okay, and this is the first step of the slides. You want to ask anything about the breeding room and all this process before we continue to some species that I keep and breed?
Yeah, Chris, I have a question for you. I saw that you were using the automatic drinking systems. So how you control the humidity in your enclosures? Like if the bird needs to take a bath and all, so how is that taken care of?
Okay, the humidity. In the simple way of controlling the humidity, in my place, the problem is that I don't get dry. I have a lot of humidity. So with the ventilation system, you solve 50% of the problem because when the air, goes out from the breeding room, you lose also the humidity. And plus, I told you that during the breeding season, I have to heat my rooms. So because I have heaters inside, the humidity falls in levels above 50%. There is a system that I have been used with control with Wi-Fi. There is humider and a dehumider, so I can control the humidity inside small rooms, but it doesn't suit me, so I cut it off. What I'm doing is that I have a big heater and I have above it, a small container of water all the time. So with the heater, the humid environment, there is no humid environment, and the small container provides as much humidity the birds need, so the eggs can hatch and things like that.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris. I have a question, please. When you talk about the process of the egg food in the start of the breeding season, it's for breeding in cages or in big flight cages?
I don't know if you shared from before. I have, big aviaries, not so many, about 20 big aviaries. And I could, use in these aviaries a lot of pairs of birds. What I want to tell you is that everywhere, even in cage, even in aviary, I have only one pair.
Okay.
So this is, I give small quantity, 1 teaspoon, starting 6 o'clock in the morning, every 4 hours. And it's like a pill, when I'm breeding birds, I'm more stressed than any time of my of my year. I have to be there every 4 hours. And if I have to go somewhere, I have the best worker in my life, my father, and he is there every 4 hours to put the egg food. Because I have seen that it's the only way that when you parent rear your birds. If you use Bengalis, it's not so proper, to use small quantities and things like that. I will talk about Bengalis in the end of this presentation. But when you're using the parents, and mostly, in in South Europe and in Europe, most of the breeders use wild-caught birds. It's easy to treat them and to make them learn to eat egg food. The problem is to make them eat the quantity that they need to rear their youngsters. In my point of view, you will come and see in the next layers, in the species, when I have lavender waxbill, for example, the males all the time used to throw out the eggs, throw out the chicks if I succeed to hatch the eggs. And the only way that worked for me is that I reduce the egg food in small amount, teaspoon, every 4 hours, and I solve my problems.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you. So let's proceed. Now, I'm gonna give you a glimpse of the species that I'm keeping, and I used to keep. Now I'm not keeping all of them. I have added some more species, and I have reduced some others. So I'm gonna give you, a view and say some info about them and how easy to breed. The red-cheeked Gordon Blues, an easy bird to breed. For me, the best you can do with them, because a lot of people asked me last year, the red-cheeked don't breed and things like that. If you have a pair that is not willing to breed, you change partners. A lot of people, keeping canaries, especially doing that. It's not so difficult to breed and lay eggs. It's difficult sometimes to raise their youngsters in small cages, especially. Again, the thing with egg food will help a lot. Here it's a photo of the birds outside. And of course, there are mutated ones. I have to say, sorry, I'm not so good in mutations. I have a Portuguese friend said all the time, I'm here for you, because I'm also a little bit colorblind and I can't distinguish the different mutations. I also used to keep some of mutated red-cheeked, not anymore, only pure ones. The blue-capped Gordon Blues, the Cyanocephalus, a very easy bird to breed. I breed them in huge numbers, even in small cages. Not a difficulty. I'm not using even Bengalis for them. I let them on their own, breed and things like that. Some rarities, the Angolensis. When I first go to the ornith farm in Athens, I remember that there was a dealer there in Athens and had a big, cage with Gordon Blues, red-cheeked Gordon Blues, and say, here are the males, here are the females. And I'm looking to the females and I see a lot of, Angolensis inside. The problem were that a lot of traders can't see the difference between a female red-cheeked Gordon Blue and a blue-breasted Gordon Blue. So a lot of birds got lost because of that. There are not any more available. I know that a lot of people, want them, and there are a lot of people who keeps them. I never bred them. I had 2 pairs in the past. I hope in the future I can get some. Now, let's go to the more difficult species, the purple grenadiers. When we're talking about the blue waxbills, this is, for me, the king and the queen are the common grenadiers. The purple grenadiers can be very difficult because of the aggressiveness. The aggressiveness comes mainly from the males. It's proper to see when the female is ready to breed, and sorry, and also proper to have a small schedule and routine about the protein the males can get, so they are not too much aggressive against the females. The aggression of the males never gets away. Even if it's a peaceful pair, you will see the male chasing, not in the way to kill them, but to breed with the female. So you have to take care. My only solution is the big Ventouris. I have bred them several times in cages, never parent rear them in cages. The purple grenadiers, I never parent reared them, only reared with Bengalis in my case. And they're pretty awesome birds and not so sensitive as the queen, as I told before. These are the youngsters of the purple. The common grenadiers. The common grenadiers are easy to lay eggs. Not easy to feed their own youngsters. But again, with the proper management and with proper quantities of egg food, you can make and succeed even in case that the birds rear their own youngsters. In difference with the purple grenadiers, are more sensitive, and coccidiosis, from my point of view, it's the main danger for them. Always good hygiene with them, and especially in the common grenadiers, I use a lot of Pagima green and small seeds. Now, remember, sorry I go you from the one point to the other, that I told you about a new type of food for the birds. I have seen big difference for the health of the common grenadiers with the using of the lower food. But I'm gonna talk about this in the end of the presentation. Fire finches. Okay, here is a factor that I want to discuss with you guys. The fire finches are the Senegal fire finches were my first estril I ever kept, and are a little bit underestimated, but all the people want them. Are very easy to breed on their own. They are ready breeders. They make nest, in a month that you have them, and they can rear their own youngsters. What's problem with the fire finches? A lot of people, don't discuss the different of the species, and sometimes the different of the subspecies, and in that way, we get lost from some nice species. Okay, most common species is the Senegal firefinch. I bred them a lot all these years. I stopped keeping them last year, and I want to introduce them again. I had to stop because I have a lot of birds, and it takes me a lot of time, and I want to establish other species of firefinches. It's an easy bird to breed. These days, it's mostly the Senegala available in Europe mainly. There are, sorry, here. Some years before, there were also the Uberrima subspecies available. You can see the big difference that the males can have. On your left, is the Senegala senegala, and on the right it's the Senegala ruberima. A very nice bird. Okay, not so colorful like the Senegala senegala, but yeah. I lost this subspecies, and I don't know if there is still existing, in aviculture. Next one, and also an easy one, it's the rubricata, the African fire finches. Also, a lot of different subspecies and a lot of dealers, get birds from this part of Africa, the other part of Africa, and you have a mix, of different subspecies. Very easy bird, very easy to breed and rear their youngsters, even in small cages. My second favorite, the black-bellied firefinch, the Lagonosticta rara. It's not so easy to start, making nest, but when you have, the nest, the breeding, it's quite easy. I like them because they're a little bit larger in size. They remind me twin spots more than firefinches. Always, full nests and an easy bird, even, for small cages. Now, the virata, the Mali firefinch. I kept, several birds all these years. It's the last 3 years that I'm breeding with them successfully, not in great numbers. I don't know exactly, the birds are not willing to breed even for a whole season. But if they start like the rara, they don't stop. Vinacea vinacea. What the most people, want when they are here for the firefinch. Very beautiful bird with nice character, easy to breed on their own, even in small cages. You see, I'm using, the nests I'm using are plastic nests. I'm using also tree branches in aviaries, and the birds tend to make their nests in the level, near the ground, the Vinacea especially. Here it's a mother incubating and the 3 youngsters inside the nest. Another different species, subspecies, the Vinacea nigricollis, darker. In my eyes, this photo taken from a friend's guy who come to my breeding room. In my eyes, I can't distinguish the females of the Vinacea nigricollis and the Vinacea vinacea because they look for me the same because I'm, as I told you, colorblind. But the male, you can see the difference, and they are more gray, not so red on it. Also never bred. The Ruphopicta, the bar-breasted firefinch. This is, a different story of firefinch. It's not so peaceful. Most of the firefinches are not peaceful, but they will not kill each other. The bar-breasted will kill each other. And this can occur a problem, in mixed populations. It's not so difficult to start breeding, not so big cultures, 3 rare 4 eggs, and easy to rear the youngsters. Here you can see the difference between the male and the female. Of course, female on your left, male on the right. Now we go to my favorite. Once my wife told me, you will stop with the birds. Can you stop with the birds? And I told her, I can stop with keeping birds, but I will keep lavenders all my life. I will have lavenders for sure all my life. This is an old photo of lavender waxbills. Some people find it difficult to sex them. You can sex them with DNA. Visual sexing with lavenders, it's not always safe because they come from different regions, and the black on the belly can say that there is a male, but maybe it's from a different region that you will not be sure that it's a male or female. Here it's a dance of a newly introduced pair. When you see this attitude, you mean that yes, there are 2 birds of different sexes. Also, there is common nowadays that the male birds have different, calling from the females. So you can also, use their voice to say that one bird is male or it's a female. Now, in the lavenders and in general, all the Strilda, there are, different shapes of nests, and uh, all birds, tend to make a big hole entrance. How can I say right? I don't know. Hole entrance, so you can't have access inside the nest. And if you see in the third photo, there is also the fake nest on the top of the nest, where the male tends to go there, and so the predators don't get inside the real nest. When you provide different nest material for the lavenders, the birds tend to make the biggest nest you can see ever. I have seen that lavenders love to take, if you see in the middle and in the right photo, the poo, the feces, the dried feces of other birds, and decorate their nest. I don't know the reason that they are doing it, but I have seen it in aviaries especially. The birds tend to decorate all the outside of the nest and inside with different dried feces. When you provide a lot of nesting material, they will make constructions like this. This don't help, to have access inside the nest, but it's not so easy to parent rear them. I'm always have some birds that are parent reared and leave them parent rear their own youngsters, but most of my lavenders Vaxbill, I'm using Bengalis to rear them. If you have good pairs of Bengalis, it's not that a difficult bird to breed. Here it's an old video of my youngsters. And now we go to the orange 6 Vaxbills. It's also an underestimated bird. A lot of coming. Nobody wants to breed with them. I don't know why. Very nice birds. I don't have them anymore in my collection. Not so easy to start and breed them. It's quite challenging, but I noticed that if you have a bonded pair, the birds will breed again and again and again. And the problem with a bonded and well-breeded pair is to stop them breeding, not to breed them. Nice constructors also. I breed them in big aviaries, but here you can see a construction that they have made in a 60 centimeters cage. It's difficult to understand what is exactly, but if you see this big structure on the left photo, it's the main nest, and there is a fake nest in the opposite side. Here it's the small fake nest on the right side. And here are the small youngsters. Very nice birds, great attitude, not easy to breed, not in big numbers, but I'm sure that if you breed, with orange 6, you will find, that the challenge to breed small and not so common species can fulfill your hobby. The black chick, this is the Delamere subspecies. I also don't keep them anymore. I used to keep the South African subspecies in the past years, but I gave up with them. Not so difficult like the lavenders in my point of view. They're more ready breeders to start breeding. And here you can see again the Vaxbill dance, as I used to say. When you have a pair, they tend to say hi, the male to the female. This is, the young just hatched from the eggs. Amazing mouth markings, and the 2 chicks, ready to fledge from the nest. Nonulas, Okay, nonulas, a lot of. I don't kept a lot of them. I kept, some pairs in the past and never bred them. Uh, I know there is a guy in UK that makes very well with them, and is the only one that I know these days keeping these species. Lovely species. It's in the category, in my point of view, with the orange chick, in the size and the category of the orange chick. Uh, you don't have to be so skilled to keep them alive. You have to be so skilled to breed them. The black rammed waxbill, and in this way, I also mean it's the similar with St. Helena waxbill. It's a very nice bird, to breed. Not so difficult, easy one. In small cages, they will not parent rear easy because they get distracted very easy, and when you enter in the breeding room, they tend to leave the nest. Now let's go to the cocopilla. I have kept and bred a lot of the yellow-bellied waxbill. The yellow-bellied waxbill are not so sensitive and easy to keep. And I have also tried and managed to parent rear them. Here you can see the two youngsters. This video is of course under Bengalis because you can't make video on their own. The nest is very small and you can't take a photo. You see the mouth markings are darker and the size of these chicks are like a small, coin. And next is the Sui waxbill. Now, I kept the Cocopilla, the yellow-bellied waxbill. Sorry, I forgot also the name. What? Yellow-bellied, yes, waxbill, sorry. I have kept and bred a lot of them during, the last decade. I also got in Sui waxbills. I bought, about 10 pairs, but I noticed that in my hands, these birds are very sensitive. I tried to breed them. I only got some eggs from one pair. I tried to parent rear them, no successful. So I gave up with them. There are a lot of good breeders around Europe at the time. The point with these birds is that you have to take care and prevent to coccidiosis and also the bacteria that got in their like protozoa that they got in their notary sac, sorry, like the Bengalis disease. So I mean that if you want to keep them alive, you have to treat the wild imports with some medicine or antibiotic. I never done that, so I lost all of my birds, and what left I give to another breeder. Twin spots, green twin spots, one of my favorites. I like them because they are not aggressive. And a lot of people say that they're not twin spots at all. They are more like quail finches. They're not aggressive. And I like the challenge because when I tried to breed them in the past, when I first bred them, a lot of people told me, these birds are impossible to breed, impossible to breed, impossible. I managed to breed them. I used Bengalis because I remember one breeder told me, never use Bengalis, never. But I have to use Bengalis for these birds and managed to raise a lot of green twin spots in the past. And I still have some of their offsprings. And I'm always breeding them these years, not so in so big numbers because I don't keep so many pairs, but I found the way that you have to let the female choose the male. When I say the female choose the male, here is a video. You can see that when I am introducing to a female that it's ready to breed a new male, when I see a behavior like this, if you see in this video, the female seems to be ready for that male. So I'm doing the opposite that most of us doing it. I'm introducing different males to a female. And in opposite side, when you're breeding birds, you're introducing different females to a male. In the green twin spots, this works better. They have to be quiet place. They have to get a lot of privacy. They will make nest in every corner. This is in a canary basket. You can see in the right photo the female incubates. What's about the diseases of the green twin spots? Yes, again with coccidiosis, yes, it's a big problem. But if you have a good hygiene of the environment, you don't have trouble with them. The key factor is that when you buy birds, are good in health, and you keep them not in big numbers, not in small place, in a clean air environment, and with good hygiene. In that way, you will never have problem. Here are the youngsters, a little bit older. And next, we go to the brown twin spots, the Monterey. I never bred them. I used to keep several pairs in the past. Now I'm not keeping them anymore. I have this video to see how the male, wants to breed. And what I've noticed from all my 4 pairs that I have kept, the birds are messy when they're constructing their nest. If you see in the right photo, this is the best nest I ever seen from the brown twin spots. Some branches and nothing else. Dibowski, lovely bird, a little bit more aggressive than usual birds. Not so difficult to breed, a little bit challenging when you are parent rearing them in small cages. Again, the quantity of the egg food is a key factor, so the birds don't get too aggressive against the females or destroy their nest and things like that. Here is a nest. And Petter's twin spot, I also don't keep them anymore. When we come to aggressiveness, the Petters are the kings. When you have to take care of how to introduce the pair, the male to the female. What I've done, in my point, I keep a small cage inside Aviaries or outside of the cage, a small cage with a male inside. And I have the male, separate with a female for a month or more. And then I leave the male inside the female and monitoring all day for several weeks if the male wants to kill the female. It's the only way because in the past I had, a lot of people have several accidents that I don't pay a lot of attention and the male kills the female the next morning. Not so difficult to start breeding. They have this feeling that they need the nest to look in the danger. What I mean with that, here is the front view of the cage and the nest always front, it's on the danger, I mean me, when I go there in the cage. The bluebills, the western bluebills, okay. Now it's a little bit different from a general point of view of how to breed estrids. When we come to the spermophaga, you have to take care a lot of about their environment, a lot of about the time that the birds are together. And even if a pair don't breed this year, maybe they breed in the next year. It's difficult until they make their nest. When they start nesting, the birds are quite easy. I find it very easy to incubate on their own, to raise their own youngsters, and things like that. Here are the mouth markings. The Crimson Seed Crackers. I managed only to see how they nesting. Never seen, an egg of them. And like a lot of people, I lost all my birds as the years passed because I don't know exactly what happens with the diseases and things like that. I wanted to try that new food that I have told you before. I never managed to do it with it, and I hope in the future I can get some birds like them and start breeding with them. Now, in the petilias, the yellow-winged petilia, not a lot to say about them. Not so difficult species, an easy one, easy to breed on their own also. Here it's a photo of their youngsters. The red-winged, very similar, not difficult to breed on their own, even in small cages. The Afras, orange-winged petilia. The problem with Afras is that there are not many available, so we don't have so much DNA of these species to share around the breeders. Again, like I say with the Phenicoptera, the red-winged petilia, it's not so difficult to breed if they start breeding. Here are the youngsters of the Afra. A small video that I have shared a lot of times of youngsters. This is an old video. And now the Melba. The Melba, it's another story of Petilia. Why I'm saying that? Because when it comes to the Petilia Melba, you have to take care of the aggressiveness. Again, it's similar. I think that the husbandry is similar with the Petter's twin spot. So you have to take care all the amounts of egg food and the frequency that you give egg food to your birds so that you don't have problems with the male and the female. I have kept the South African subspecies and the ones that come from Tanzania. Now I'm not keeping them anymore. Maybe again in the future. Here are the youngsters. Incredible mouth markings. Crimson wings. A treasure that we have lost, I think. I have two different species in this photo, the Ricenovi and the Salvadori. Ricenovi, I have never bred them. I have several pairs in the past. I know there are breeders that have bred them. They told me that there is not so difficult species. Now we don't have birds to try and breed. And Nesoharis. When we come to the olive bugs, it's a story that you have to keep in mind that the theory that all the things that we have told until now, it's a little bit different. You can breed them in 60 centimeters cages. No, you have to use bigger cages. There is a rumor also that if you have a pair of olive bugs in one room, you can't have another. I have noticed that this is not true because I have bred several pairs in the same breeding rooms. Here, when you have to introduce olive bugs, you have to take care again of the female. It's the only species that I have record and seen that the female kills the male. If the female, don't like the male, you have problems. So again, like the Vaxpils, the lavender, and the others, you have to monitor the birds. You have to watch what they're doing every day, their behavior, everything. So you can be sure that you have, first of all, a true and embodied pair. If you don't have and see the birds chasing each other just a little bit and things like that, you have to change the partners. Otherwise, the birds will kill each other. On the right, it's the male. He's puffing, his feathers. And in that way, you see that things are okay. If you see the female puffing the feathers, you have also to take a better look because it can cause problems. When we come to the Nasoharis capistrata, it's very difficult to make them make nest and lay eggs. Not impossible, it's difficult because it's difficult to form the pair. If you form the pair, the birds are very easy to breed. I have seen that it's one of the easiest species to parent rear their youngsters. The true challenge with them is to form a pair. They are very strong birds, quite against the diseases, and if you form a good pair, you can get several cultures per year. Again, my problem with them, with the good pairs, is to stop from breeding. And now comes another nice rarity, the chestnut-breasted negrita. It's not a seed eater, it's an estrilled, but it's a soft bill. In the negritas, I'm not using seeds at all. I'm using my egg food in the past. Now I'm using only the lure food and also a little bit of nectar, a homemade recipe that I make on my own. A lot of people told me, when I first kept them, you have to use these fruits and these seeds, but the birds, I have tried a lot, never eat greens, fruits, or different seeds. Again with the negrita, it's difficult to form a pair. I never bred them. I only managed to see the nest. Here, it's a video that I have shared a lot of times in my Facebook account. It's the song of the male as a breeding behavior to the female. Again, very nice birds. Here's the nest of the birds. A whole different, feeling and theory on how to breed. It's not like breeding small soft bills. It's even more difficult. You have to keep in mind that there are estrils. You have to keep in mind their dietary needs. You have to keep in mind that the environment that they come from, and all these things makes them quite challenging. And in the end, I have in general all the Aussies, the Australian finches. Here in the photo, you can see the crimsons, the Emblema pictas. I have kept them in the past. I'm keeping them also now. In the Aussies, in the crimsons, maybe the crimsons are the most challenging to breed. There are not so much difficulties. The main difficulty, I think, especially in the crimsons, is to parent rear them. Again, with the egg food quantity and quality, you can get good results. Guldians, I don't have much to say on them. It's an easy to breed species, a lot of different mutations. Here are Emblema picta youngsters. Parrot finches, different species, different requirements, all very amazing. And I have kept a lot of species in the past. I'm not keeping any more, only some Prasinas at the moment. Not so difficult to breed. And in the end, muñas and mannequins. Here, I have all the birds in the same category because they are not having so much special needs. When it comes to mannequins, the African mannequins, it's quite easy. Here you can see a family of 6, 7, if you see youngsters of the magpie mannequin in a small cage. The chestnut-breasted mannequin, also an easy one to breed. Different nuns. Here, I think with the muñas, it's to get young birds so you can start breeding. There are no difficulties with them. And before closing, let's see about the Bengalis. A lot of people saying, you don't have to use Bengalis, etc., etc. Okay. I want to mention my mentor here. The guy who got me in this hobby, Luigi Montini from Italy, very good friend. And I have this point of view that I have to breed the birds on their own without Bengalis. And when I visit him in Italy, years ago, I seen that he's using some Bengalis for fostering, but not all of his birds. So I learned a lot of tricks from him, and I got some Bengalis also. Come back. The problem with a lot of us, it's to establish a population in captivity. And because we are in different countries across the world, you can't have access to birds. I live in Greece, for example, and the best access I can have it's in Italy, and I have to make 2 days trip to go in Italy and get birds. So the Bengalis, it's my lifesaver. You have to use Bengalis, and you have to use them so you can raise the numbers of the birds. I have told a lot of times in the Vaxville Finch Society meetings that the Bengalis are the tools. If you call an electrician in your house to fix something, he has tools. It's not only the knowledge. So we keep Bengalis and we keep them as tools. Please don't get offended what I'm saying. You are using them to rear the youngs of the other essels. Now, when you keep the Bengalis, you have to treat them also against different diseases. A lot of people told me in the past years, you use antibiotics, so your birds are not good. Okay, I'm using antibiotics, whatever you want to use, on the Bengalis before breeding. That don't pass to the generation of foster youngsters. So the Bengalis is the key to establish difficult to breeding captivity species. What I have seen all these years is that when you have captive birds, and especially from Bengalis, it's easier to adapt. It's easier to adapt in new foods. It's easier to adapt in new environments. It's easier to adapt in small cages. So, in my point of view, when you are using Bengalis, you're having only good benefits from it. And we have to treat the Bengalis better than we treat the other birds we have. I'm using the smaller ones I can found. I'm breeding my own Bengalis to be fostered, but the fosters I'm using are virgin birds. They have never raised their own youngsters and will never raise their own youngsters. They are only there to help me raise the numbers of the birds that I keep so I can have access to more individuals and establish the species in captivity. Thank you very much. Hope that it was not so tired for you, all this. If you want to ask me something.
So now we are open to questions. Anyone who has any question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Chris. Can I ask you a question on? Hi.
Hello, my friend.
You were explaining at the beginning of your presentation when you were talking about egg food that you use boiled seeds instead of germinated seeds.
Yeah.
And can you why did you make that choice?
Okay. I will explain you. Germinated seeds. Okay. I want to make my life easier. Just give me a sec. Okay. I'm okay? Okay. Germinated seeds. So I'm avoiding all these bacteria or fungus can get inside it because I want to store my egg food inside the refrigerator or the fridge for a long time. As I told, I'm in my schedule. I have to put 4 or 5 times per day egg food. So I don't want to have something inside that can be harm the hygiene, the health of the birds. First of all, this. Second of all, when you boil the seeds, all these carbohydrates turns into sugar, so the birds gets more energy. Plus, when you are boiling something, you kill any bacteria that may be inside the seeds. So in this way, I'm answering your question.
Thank you.
You're
Hi.
welcome.
At the beginning of the presentation, you had mentioned about a new kind of soft food or the feed which you're planning to give your birds.
Yeah,
Right.
the
So could you
new type of food I have told you.
yes. So could you
Okay.
explain that a bit more on that?
Yeah, just give me a sec. Now, uh, there is a company in Italy and a good friend of mine, L'Oritalia. They make a type of food that you give it to your birds against the seeds. So there is a type of food which looks like small couscous, all right, and have all the nutrients inside, and there are different mixes for molting, for resting, for breeding with higher protein. And this type of food can save you time because there are no waste from the seeds. So you can put a feeder with full of it, and the birds eat as much as they want. Have no eggs inside, so you don't have problem that they may be harmful if they get too hot or things like that outside. And the birds get exactly what they need. And what I've noticed, I have a big bird population. All right, I have maybe not so big, but I have 600 birds, for example. It's usual to have some casualties, because something happens here, something happens there. Um, with this type of food that I'm using it, the last year, I have reduced the casualties to almost 5 birds. In the big number of what I keep, it's an impressive numbers. And also what I've noticed is that I keep a small group of birds without egg food, only this food. So what I manage with this type of food is I don't use energy to make egg food. I don't use energy to put egg food in the schedule that I have told you that because I have to put in the morning after 4 hours. And the birds have very good health and they breed regular with ease. I'm gonna chat right on the chat what the type is, or maybe the site, and you can look it on your own. I'm very satisfied, and I'm hoping that next year I'm gonna not use any type of seed or any egg food.
Chris, a little question about this. The this food from Lori Italia, you say?
Yeah, I have chatted now.
Okay, so it's good to birds that have a problem of fatting.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's good that the birds don't get fat. I don't
Yeah, of
mean that
course.
if you
This is
give,
what I mean.
yeah. It's there are different mixes, and it's something like you give it and you don't give seeds anymore. The birds eat what the amount they want. You have to always provide water, and they don't get fat. They are ready breeders. I am amazed, I don't have some special, advertise, thing with this company. The man, it's my friend, but the product is perfect. It's really perfect. I really propose to everybody to use it. I use it once, not in big scale, only some birds of mine, and it's the birds that breed the best and the most. And I didn't have also, because it's calcium inside, I don't have to provide extra calcium to my pairs. Because with the automatic system, it's always a trouble to provide extra calcium in water or even in egg food. It has it all. It's the way that my hands are free, my time it's free, so I can have time to make, the breeding, to change nets and things like that, because I only have to put, this product.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do we have any more questions?
Yes, please, maybe. Hi,
Oh,
Chris.
Oliver. Hey.
Thanks for this great presentation. And I would like to add, it was very complete. And according and regarding this law of food, I'm also experimenting myself, and I'm very interested. And just the feedback that I have with two sensitive species that Chris have mentioned, which are the seed cracker, Pyrenestes, and Spermophaga. I have noted that Dr. Figurella house that is keeping this animal, these birds on this diet for several years up to the breeding. So I think it could be an improvement for some species, and I was wondering if we can experiment it for some like the Sui astrid, the Cocopedia, which are really sensitive, sensitive against coccidiosis. So this new type of food would be interesting, and it would be great if you guys in India, in the east part of the world, can experiment, because you have big facilities, they are big breeders. The interest is maybe against the heat, because it looks to be efficient, and the value of vitamins and looks quite good, and also against disease. Because we experimented with a disease which is very familiar now in Europe, which is called megabacteriosis, which is a parasite flow. And visibly, this long food looks to be interesting for the bird not to lose weight. Thanks again, Chris. And it would be interesting if you can give the advice of if some species accept it better than others. Because to be honest, I'm not sure all the species will like this food, but some of them more than the other. Did you notice something?
Yeah, just give me a sec, Oliver, to add something on you. When we say about this food, why I mention it? I mention it because we said in the title, turn your hobby into science. We are not scientists. We are hobbyists. We keep, birds. Okay. If you use it and you see, the results, you will have the feeling that you're giving the right to your birds. And with this product, we don't have to make all this, webinar in 1 hour plus. Because when I was talking about the food, I will say only about the lore and finish. You don't have to use seeds which you don't know where they come from. You don't know how they were stored. You don't know nothing about them. Even if the brand is the same, the seed it's not the same. But with this food, you have completely, how can I say in English? You are completely calm that the food it's the same all the time, and the birds gets the same, and they are healthy.
Sir, we have a question in the chat box, if you could take that up.
Okay, sorry. Let me see. Yeah, I have to Mr. Barney Ross. Yeah, I have experience with starlings and mynas. For me, starlings are not difficult to breed. Mynas depends on the species. I have kept, the Hildesbrand starling in the past, also the Bali mynas and the common hill mynas. I have bred all of them. Again, when it comes, to the soft bills, it's not problem to breed the soft bills. They are more ready breeders, in my point of view. I don't want to to have problem with any one of you. In my point of view, the estrils are more difficult to breed than the soft bills. The soft bills are more ready breeders. The challenge with the soft pills, it's to have the right food, the right encloses, and all this effort you have to put when you have the youngsters to provide live insects and things like that. Also, I want to add that with this lower food, you have better results with the soft pills. Yeah, Bali minus and Hill minus. It's not something that I can say especially if you have. I don't want to underestimate these birds, but if you have a male and a female and they are in breeding age, big aviaries. I had them in aviaries 4 meters long, 2 meters high, outside, nest boxes, and a lot of live food at the time that I had them. Yeah, Bruno, Sporophylla and Oryzoborus, you said. I use a little bit of the lord food for the Cyanocopsa brissoni because now I stopped. It's easier to give to them because the birds are more ready to take it. And it's better also to give to these birds. Yes, you can use it. From my experience, I don't know about this Bali Mina. I know that in Attica Zoo, they have in big groups, pairs of Bali Mina without problem. If you see, the birds like Bali, it's not minas. In reality, it's starlings. So in nature, starlings, yes, they are in big groups. Yeah, as big as the aviary is, you can have more birds inside. Not with the hills, with the Bali. So nobody asks anything else. I'm gonna say something. Aditi, can I write something in chat?
Sure, sir.
Um,
Sir, until then, you can please stop presenting. I'll share my screen now.
and there is another question. Yeah, you can combine with other birds. We had them also with turacos and pheasants and things like that. Not smaller one birds because you will have trouble. Thank you
Yes, sir.
all very much, Aditi, especially you.
Thank you. Okay. So you can stop presenting. I'll present my screen now.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, sir. On behalf of the entire team of LSeT, I would like to thank you. It was an honor to have you grace us with your presence today. We hope your word encourages many of us to do the work with same passion and care that you bring to everything you do. And thank you so much again. So again, a quick reminder for everyone. LSeT offers two programs. One is Diploma in Animal Care and Management, and the second one is Animal Care Bootcamp, whose next batch is going to start in October. For further details, you can contact on the numbers given below. Thank you everyone for joining. We look forward to see many of you take the next step in your journey with LSeT. Apart from that, everyone is requested to please fill the feedback form so that we can get your certificates issued. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.